Hey everyone, it's Mike Andes, and you're listening to the Business Bootcamp podcast. Today we're going to be talking about money, motivation, but before we get to that, I want to share a big thank you to our sponsor, which has come back and really showed support for this show, and it's Gusto. Again, gusto.com/bootcamp. They've been a long time supporter of the show, and just recently they just signed the next 6 or 7 months of sponsoring this show. They love what we're doing, and they're seeing the results, not just from themselves and their business, but also those that are going over to their subscription and using their services and talking about what they're learning on the podcast, and then watching their company grow, having to hire more people and use Gusto more and use their tools and resources. They've really committed, stepped up big in a financial way, and so I really do appreciate it. So many of you have expressed your thanks to them for making the switch from QuickBooks or other payroll services, or even using your own accountant. So if you haven't already, go check it out. It's Gusto, GUSTO.com/bootcamp. And when you use the bootcamp, they're going to give us a 90-day free trial. You don't have to put your card information in or anything like that. And they get you set up and everything for free. And then after that, it's still like much cheaper than a lot of the other alternatives. And it does lots of the bonus features if you read into it. So just check it out, gusto.com/bootcamp. Really appreciate them stepping up to the plate and really helping us out. And thus, I'm able to allocate more time and resources to answering your questions when you go to businessbootcamppodcast.com and leave your questions there, or you email me. I can make more calls. So I really do appreciate them for doing that. I think all the way up until like next January, February, they are wanting to sponsor the show. So a big thank you to them. Check it out, gusto.com/bootcamp. Now, today's going to be a little bit of a different show. And I think most of you probably clicked on this because you're like money motivation, and I'm going to get like hype you up and get you all inspired to make more money and things like that. And maybe at some point in time in the next 15 minutes, I'll do that. But more importantly, it's actually really to get you to start thinking in the opposite direction. And that is, how do you get motivated outside of the money in your business? And I think, when we talk about small business, obviously it's like under 50 million. Like everyone has their different definition as far as the government, 50 million, like under 50 employees or whatever it is. Small businesses. I think when they go from micro businesses, like 1, 2, 3 people, to like a real, like a small business that is not just governed and driven by just the owner, but there's actually a team of people on it. I think a big switch in the mentality of the owner that has to occur is when their motivation for the business switches from just being monetarily driven. And what I mean by that is, if you had an 8 to 5 job and you were working and you switched to this entrepreneur thing, you started your own business. At first, especially if you have debt obligations, student loans, mortgages, a family to feed, car payments, etc., utilities to pay, rent to pay. If you have all those obligations, the first thing you're thinking about when you're starting a business is, how do I replace my income? How do I make enough money to get the financial leverage and freedom to do this entrepreneur thing full time? And so from the get-go, money is the motivation. And throughout this whole thing, don't get me wrong, money is a great scorecard as far as tracking how you're doing against competition, against the market, and whether or not your business is successful. I think it's a great scorecard and a great indicator of whether or not you are a good business person and whether or not your business is successful. That's very black and white. Like, either there's money in the bank, or you're going in the red and you're not making anything and you're going into debt and you're going to go out of business. It's very black and white to me as far as whether or not company's doing well, and money is a really good way of determining that as a straight numbers, factual way of looking at things. Now, once you've accumulated and people on your team, and you have a company starting to grow and thrive and build outside of you as just the business owner, and you really start developing that team, and you start seeing function with the business that you used to do, they're now being handled by other people, whether it be hiring or marketing or sales. The things that you used to do or hold on to as the owner, now other people are doing. And now, the money is good, you're starting to make money and things like that. I think is a really important lever that switches in the mind of a real entrepreneur that really changes from the money, just the money. I'm not saying money isn't a motivator. I'm saying that the main motivation is not the money anymore. And it switches to something else. It might be driven by a cause. For instance, some people, their mission or their purpose, the thing they're going for, they want to solve a certain problem, a social issue, hunger, disease, different things that are going on socially that they want to be a part of, causes, movements, things they want to affect. And the business begins to take on a life of its own, and they funnel resources and they funnel the reason for the company being is no longer to generate more money for them personally, but it's to go after that social cause, to go give to that nonprofit that they support, or maybe it's to build the team and develop the team and retain the team members and grow the business and put the money back in the business and make it bigger, or to start another location, or to create a legacy, a framework in which that your family can live off of that business for years to come and really create a legacy for your children and your children's children. And so, everyone has a different motivator, and I just genuinely believe, as I talk to more and more entrepreneurs and small business owners, the ones that can make the switch from money being the motivator to something else, and whatever that something is for you, I don't know, but I think a lot of us, so oftentimes when we're starting our businesses, money is definitely the thing that motivates us, because if we don't get out of bed today and we don't go work, we're not going to be able to pay payroll, and we're not going to be able to pay our vendors, and we're not going to be able to market, and we're not going to be able to compete with our competitors. And so it motivates us to get out of bed and make the money necessary to pay our bills, pay our people, pay our vendors, and get out into the marketplace and advertise. And so money is the thing that we're constantly going for. But once money becomes I don't truly believe that money ever becomes something that's not important within a business. When people start getting their eye off the money part, I feel that, for instance, if someone is really passionate about a social cause or issue or a nonprofit, they can get really passionate about that. But at the end of the day, if they don't have the business doesn't make any money, they can't contribute to their church or to their nonprofit or to the cause or thing that they want to support. So at the end of the day, the business has to be profitable. It has to make money. But money in and of itself is a short-term motivator that I find too oftentimes, if it stays the motivator for the small business owner too long, and as the business begins to grow and thrive, it will become a cap on the business if the business owner's main motivation is just the money. And so this is a very different perspective, but I feel like, for instance, myself, I feel like my motivation now is not the money. It's more about the team, developing the team, and developing a team that we could go do anything with. Whether it be, the landscaping business, or it be the online stuff that I'm doing with course and conference and stuff like that, or whether it be the gym that we just bought, or whatever industry we want to go into and disrupt. I am more focused right now, and I'm more motivated by developing a team and a framework in which I can go buy a company, turn it around, and then sell it, and go do cool things in different industries and take what we've learned from landscaping in the service industry and duplicate it into some other industry and turn a big company around. But in order to do that, I need to develop a team and have the infrastructure and the teamwork and the management team and the camaraderie to make that happen, to turn businesses around and to make those changes and to have a framework and a template that works and that can be duplicated across other companies and other industries. And so for me right now, the team is really my motivation. And I'd say it's been the past 2 years or so that switch has happened. I can't nail down a specific date and time, but there's a few key time frames in there. There are things that happened, meetings that were taking place, things that were said that changed. We're tipping points, but I'd say there was no specific one time. But over the past couple years, it switched for me. I still remember. The day that I looked at my bank account and I saw, okay, I could afford the dream car that I always wanted. I always wanted a BMW i8. For years, I wanted a BMW i8 with a certain type of frame, decked out, right? And so it was always just a dream. Every guy, even if I'm, even if you want to call yourself like simple and you don't like want a bunch of stuff, you still look at cars and you're like, those are really cool. And I want a really cool car just because I want to go fast. Like it's just cool. And so I've always wanted a BMW i8 just because I think they're cool cars. And I still remember looking at my bank account being like, hey, I could go buy one with cash and be fine. And I remember that day, and I remember that day being the moment, like one of the moments when I was like, okay, this money thing is cool, but it's not going to make me any more. Like if I went and bought the car right now, it wouldn't make me a better person. It wouldn't make me any happier, maybe for like 24 hours. And it wouldn't do anything for me or for the people around me, for my team, for my family, for the interest in the community that I'm involved with, my church. It wouldn't do anything for anybody really. And so when that switch kind of happened, like it was kind of a reality check, like, chasing the car, chasing the watch, chasing the thing, chasing the house, it's not going to make me any happier. And so it really lost its motivating kind of force when it came to my business. Like I still remember, going in the next day, and it wasn't like I said, there was no tipping point, but it was one of those moments where I was like, I went to work the next day, I was like, there's not any reason, if I can go out and buy the car I've always wanted with cash, like there's no reason for me to come in here and be motivated by more of that stuff, the paper, the money, the digits that could go get the car. Like that is not the motivation. And I'm willing now to sacrifice the money for the thing that's much more important to me, and that for me is the team. And that team and building that framework and building that management team around me is super important to me. And like I said, for you, it might not be growing. It might not be that you want to create a team around you that can flip businesses and can, make a duplicatable business model and change industries. Like that might not be for you. You might be like, hey, I just want 10, 15 people working for me, and I want to then channel that motivation of the business to be towards giving to a nonprofit or supplying for my family, laying up for my kids, college, whatever it is, whatever the motivating force is. But it shouldn't be, at the end of the day, the money, because I feel it's a short-term loss in a short-term motivator that eventually leads to a loss. And we saw that so many times in times like recessions. The behaviors that led up to the recession were people that were motivated by money alone and weren't looking at the triple bottom line. They weren't looking at the other things around the team, the framework of their company, the longevity of their company, and that's why it fell apart. Lehman Brothers, all different banks, whatever it was, they were built on theses of making money now and that being the constant motivator instead of teamwork, sustainability, longevity of the business. And that's why, like, for instance, when I'm going into this gym that I'm buying, I'm not going to be doing any more commissions based upon sales because the money isn't the most important thing to us right now. It's retention of our members, and it is the reviews that they're giving to us. Like, I'm not going to go in and like my motivation needs to be reflected in my team and how I compensate them. If I am compensating them for making more dollars upfront sales, and instead of trying to keep retention up and keep people and keep members happy, like if I'm giving commissions and trying to give them more money, motivating them to make more sales, which in turn makes more money, that is basically saying, hey, my motivator for this business is money. And it's not. It's about the team. It's about creating a sustainable business. And so that's why, like, when I go into the gym, we're taking away commissions on new sales. I'm not interested in new sales. I'm interested in capping all the holes where all the members are falling through and increasing our retention and increasing our, what they call the please score, like the customer satisfaction scores that are coming in, the reviews and the surveys. Those are more important to me, and I'll compensate based upon those because those are going to be something that's more aligned with my motivation of creating teamwork and a sustainable business. And so, I've been thinking about this a lot as it becomes more apparent the business becomes successful, and there's more money involved, and there's more risk involved. And if you listen to the podcast for a long time, usually about once a year I kind of go all in on something and kind of go broke personally. So like for now it's the gym. Buying the gym is really expensive. I'm pouring like all my personal assets into that, and then it's the new thing, right? And just the way I am to kind of go all in on something. Obviously, I'm diversifying because I have other businesses, but that's sort of what I do. And next week we actually take ownership of the gym. So like 7 more days, and we take ownership of the gym, and it'll be the first time I get over 20 employees that are in my businesses, and so that's kind of a cool thing that doesn't like count online freelancers and things like that, but just like people within the landscaping company and the gym in real locations that I can actually go high five them. The 20, that'll be the first time that I kind of get to that level, and so it's just kind of a cool thing. And like for me, like I said, I don't really care too much about the money right now. Obviously, like I don't want to go off too far on the side. Money is a super good indicator of where you're at. It's a scoreboard. It is a great way of keeping track of score and knowing if you're winning or losing. But I think motivation has to change. And recently, like we've hired different people, and I really feel it's really important to hire different people than you. So for me, like my motivation is the team. And in the past, 3-4 months, a lot of you have commented on how much the podcast has talked about hiring and getting teams and creating management and like style, like all that, and communication and empathy and caring for your people and all of the cultural type of things that we've been talking about. And the reason for that is because that is my motivation for being in business still. Like I don't need to go work, 14, 16, plus hours a day right now. I could work less and just make a little bit less money, and that'd be fine. But right now the motivation is building the team, and that's like a full-time job. And whether it be making enough money so you can build the team and hire new people and bring in more staff, like there's, money leads sometimes to the motivator. If you're motivated by giving to a church or you're giving to your nonprofit, you're going to have to go get some money to do those things. If you want to be traveling, if that's your motivator, you're going to have to go get the money to do those things. But you're not getting the money for the sake of money. You're getting it because you're motivated to travel or to give or to donate. And I think that's very powerful when you're able to do that. And for me, like I said, it's building the team. And one of the things about building a team, as I've been, doing this, for a while now, is hiring people that are different than you. And so many times, I see this in landscaping businesses all the time, whether it be from landscapebusinesscourse.com or the podcast or the consulting stuff. Like landscapers are the worst at this. They hire people that are the same as them. So if he went to college and he went to horticultural school, he will hire a bunch of class A students from his class, and that's the framework in which they will operate. They will never be able to think out of the box of their school and their horticultural classes. They will usually not do very good on the numbers side of the company. They will think very much in terms of the landscaping and the intricacies of plant names and material types, and they get really caught up in the design, and they don't worry about the money part, and it falls apart. And so they start, because the problem was they hired so many people that were just like them. And I find so many times in landscaping, the guy that starts his landscaping business, and then he hires his buddies, and then all of a sudden the culture that they begin to develop, they will only hire people that fit within their framework and within their mentality and that fits into their demographic, whether it be their age group or whether it be their height or their weight or their race, whatever it is, they will only hire a certain frame of demographic within their company. And because of that, they leave a lot on the table as far as diversity. And when people talk about diversity, there's like so many things that pop up from a social standpoint and political and blah, blah, blah. I get that. But from a business standpoint, I feel that diversity really opens up doors to new opportunities of seeing things from a different light. And this is happening in our business even now, where we're hiring people that we've never hired for certain types of roles. And I really feel it'll be a massive positive going forward, because number one, you open up different labor markets in an industry like landscaping, where it is very hard to find people that are hardworking. So opening yourself up to hiring different people outside of your skill set, outside of your demographic, outside of your sociographic, like your economic background, like being able to hire people and get people on the team that are different than you, that see things different than you, that disagree with you is so important. And I'm actually, you know what? I'm going to read this something to you. It's a text I actually sent to my management team last week. Let me just try to pull it up here for you. I want to read it right off my phone here. So we use an app called WhatsApp for our internal communication within our business. And if you don't have it, I really recommend it. They don't pay me to say that. It's just really, really amazing communication tool for your team. But this is I sent this at like 10:38 p.m. last Monday evening. And this is I'm just going to read straight exactly how I said it. And I'll just take out the emoticons that I have on my text. So this is WhatsApp. I sent this to my management team. There's 5 of us on the management team. This is for my landscaping business only. This isn't for the gym. So let me just read this to you, and you'll get kind of the essence of what I'm talking about. Hiring new people, getting people that are going to think different than you, okay? So here we go. I'm just going to read this verbatim. This is just me thinking out loud, ... and I put like an emoticon of a guy thinking with a cloud above his head. As we grow and start to do more stuff, I need you all, especially this group chat, to challenge me on some of the ideas and changes I bring to the table. I really can't afford to have yes men and women always around me, especially my direct reports as we grow. Even if it just forces me to rationalize the shots I call and see it from another perspective. You will see there's the name here by office manager. You will see the office manager and I passionately debating things sometimes. The tension between honesty and respect is where leadership is built and teams are born. I appreciate that people think I'm smart, brilliant, etc., but to get to the next level, we need more collaborative thinking. I truly believe that I could build Augusta, which is my landscaping business, to 10 plus million in annual revenue within Whatcom County, and at the end of the day, no one would give a care. Together, in caps. Together, we can do much, much more than build a profitable enterprise. Please look at Augusta as a way to sharpen your management skills, hone your raw talent, and make honest mistakes. I'm inviting you to disagree with me and tell me I'm wrong. Force me to prove my point. Force me to prove my point. Thank you, Mike. So I sent that at 10:38 p.m. last Monday to my kind of direct reports management team. And, you know, I think the essence of what I was saying is really wrapped up in that one line that I did. Like, literally, this is me late at night thinking these thoughts. I'm like, I should just tell the team this. So I like quickly typed this out. And this one line kind of wrapped it all up. It said, the tension between honesty and respect, the tension between honesty and respect is where leadership is born and I keep butchering this. The tension between honesty and respect is where leadership is built and teams are born. The tension between honesty and respect, that tension, the pulling in opposite directions there, is where leadership is built and teams are born. What am I saying there? I'm saying I need them to be honest with me. I need them to have that honesty and respect, but then being honest enough to tell me I'm wrong, to challenge my opinions, to challenge the changes that I'm bringing to the table, the things that I'm constantly trying to evolve the company with, implementing new changes and ideas and things like that. I need them to challenge me on those things. And you won't be able to get people to challenge you if you hire people and you make your team built around individuals that are always just like you. If I was you and I was hiring and I was just starting out, I'd be looking for people that are different. People that will complement your skills, not duplicate your skills. Look for the people that are going to be, if you're positive, like you're super, everything is amazing, like every day is sunshine and roses to you, you need to look for someone that's pragmatic, that's even a little bit, pessimistic, that is a hardcore line item numbers count type individual that is going to balance you out. You can't get a bunch of people that are all positive, like, go, yeah, well, this is great, and they have the ideas, and they're all motivated, and they're wonderful, yeah, go, and there's no one to bring you back to the earth, bring the compliment, bring the balance out, and say, no, we've got to hit our numbers, we're spending too much in this category, we've got to focus on our niche, we can't be doing too many things, we've got to work longer hours this week to push through, because if we don't, it's not going to be all sunshine and roses tomorrow. You got to have the people that are going to compliment you. They're going to disagree with you. There's going to be some tension there. There's going to be tension, but that is where teams are built. That's where leadership is formed. And so that is what I was trying to convey to my management team. And even in the past, few days after I've talked about that, we had discussions about changes I was wanting to make, things I was wanting to take out of the business, things I was wanting to add. And then I wanted them to give them the platform. This is what you want your people to do. Give them the platform to disagree with you. Because if they constantly feel like if they're like their job is going to be in jeopardy if they disagree with you or even vehemently debate with you about something within the business, you have done a pathetic job of being a leader. As a leader, you want to welcome objections and you want to welcome alternative opinions to what you think is the best, the greatest idea in the world. You got to have people to counterbalance you. You got to have people to think that are going to look at it from a different perspective. There are amazing ideas that never come to fruition because you never heard them in your business. There's people in your organization that have great ideas to change your business model, to increase revenues, to cut costs, but you've never given them the opportunity to challenge you on the ideas that you've always implemented and the framework in which you've always made them work. You've put them in a box and you've not allowed them to challenge you on the ideas that are core to the business. You've allowed them to change, holiday time and their, what time they clock in and out and start times. You've allowed them to do that, but you've put them in a framework and a box that says, hey, you can't deal with the business side of things. You can't deal with how our operations actually run because I'm the business owner. And you've allowed your ego as the business owner to put the people that you've hired in a box and thus not allowing them to help you successfully navigate your business and bring it to the next level. I truly believe that the greatest innovations, the great creative ideas that will unlock your business potential and unlock your company's potential and growth is locked up in the ideologies and in the minds and in the brains of your people. And far too often, small business owners are too proud and get wrapped up in their ego and think they know everything, and they don't give a platform, and they don't give leverage to their people, and they don't give their people a voice and permission to challenge them on their ideas and offer new opinions and new ideas. And so I encourage you, 2 things today. If you get anything out of today's show, 2 things. Money can't be your all be motivator. It's got to be a motivator from a day-to-day perspective. Short term, you got to make it. You got to cut costs, generate revenue, grow the company. But at the end of the day, as your company grows, as it goes from an adolescent teenager phase and begins to mature, the great businesses, not the good ones, the great businesses, there's a motivating factor within you as the owner, within you as the founder that goes beyond the money. And number 2, if you're hiring people and you're trying to develop a team that's great, hire people that are different than you. You've been listening to Mike Andes on the Business Bootcamp podcast. Until next time, be great, because nothing else pays.